Hi, family. It's me, Ms. Shepard. I am coming to you from room 119 today to talk to you about our new weekly reading log because I want to make sure everybody understands how these work, so there's no confusion and no issues. The first thing that you need to know about the weekly reading log is that it normally will go from Monday to Monday. And so that means that students have 7 days to complete the entire reading log and have it turned in. Now, there are a few things that I want us to make sure we get when filling the reading log out. There's a lot going on the document. It's very busy, and so I've already started filling some of it out so that we can talk about what needs to happen. First thing that you want to do on your reading log is you want to write your name at the top. You want to write the reading log number. Sometimes this will be pre-filled as it is here. This is reading log 1, and then I wrote the day of the first day of the week, that first Monday. Okay, so all of that's already written. It's really important that you take the time to write your name at the top of your paper, just because we want to make sure that we get credit for all of the hard work that we do during the week. The next thing that we want to do, it's a little confusing, I realize that now. There are directions here that have a blank, which is a bit odd, so we're going to fill that in together. So it says read for an average of blank minutes daily, blank days a week. Complete the response sections daily. Well, we can see here that there are 4 boxes for each day, so we already know we're reading for 4 days out of the 7-day week. In addition, we're going to be reading for a 30-minute block each of those times. And so what I'll fill in, or what I have filled in already, is that we're reading for an average of 30 minutes daily, 4 times a week. I know it's probably backwards, so that's why I'm reading it out loud. The next thing that we're going to do is figure out what book we're going to be reading for the majority of our time filling out this reading log. I've got one just as a sample here, and it is President of the Whole 6th Grade. Okay, so this is what I'll be using as I'm talking through my work with you all, and you all can use your own independent reading books, the ones that you have at home, or the ones that you get from media, to be able to fill this same thing out. So I know that my book is a work of fiction, and so in the top right-hand corner where I'm given an option to fill in fiction or nonfiction, I go ahead and fill in that piece for my book. The next thing that I'm going to do, I'm just going to enjoy my book. I'm going to be reading and reading and reading and reading and reading and reading. And once my 30 minutes are up, there are a few things that I can fill in here on my page. Okay? The first thing that I'm able to figure out, I can just go ahead and get this out of the way, is the point of view. Put this down so you can see. There we go. On the side, you look at point of view. The options here are first person, third person limited, and third person omniscient. We're going to listen to my stories, it's a small segment, so we can get an understanding of why it is I know the right answer, other than the fact that I'm the English teacher who should know. So here we go. It says, when I wasn't doing homework or thinking up speech topics, I was raking leaves, even cleaning our garage. I also wrote letters to supermarket chains and other local businesses trying to see if we could get sponsors. The letter writing had been Mr. G's idea. Baby, you're looking a little tired, Mom said one night. She was standing in my bedroom doorway. I was seated on my bed, legs crisscrossed, going over a list on my clipboard. Lots to do, Ma, I said without looking up. I spoke with your Uncle Al in D.C. He's looking forward to seeing us when we go down the next month, she said. Mom was one of the chaperones for our trip. I glanced up. Me too, Mom, but please, no offense, I need to work. I have so much to do. She said, well, it'll have to wait. It's bedtime. I said, but she didn't even try to listen. Just turned off my light switch. It made me so mad, I hopped up, flipped it right back on, kept on working. She just didn't understand how much pressure I was under. Okay, so even from that small segment, I can tell that the point of view here is from the narrator, the main character. She's telling the story from her own point of view, and we call that first person point of view. So I would go ahead and circle first person, like I did, and then the how do you know? The reason that I know is because the narrator / main character is telling her own story. I had to squeeze that in. I underestimated how big I wrote, but that's okay. Sometimes we freak out. Oh, I don't have enough space. It's okay. I made it work. I just kind of was able to squeeze the rest of my statement down here in the box. Okay. All right. So I might find later that the author is trying to do something in addition to entertain, but I can even tell now as I've been reading a few pages of the book that the purpose of the book is to entertain me. There are parts of it that are kind of funny, and there are other parts that kind of catch you by your heartstrings and make you a little sad for the main character. So definitely an entertaining read. So I'm going to go ahead and circle the author's purpose now as to entertain. So that's done. So now, guys, as you can see, I'm kind of filling in the outside of our reading log here. We're getting a lot done just in my first read here for this reading log. I've noticed also that on my reading log there's a section for vocabulary, but this vocabulary isn't the vocabulary that we're studying based on our normal classwork. It's asking you to identify 3 words you're familiar with, write the page number, and then write down the dictionary definition. You can see that right there. So I already found a word that maybe would be a little bit confusing, and so I wrote it down. It's from page 104, and the word is chaperone. And I looked up the definition and found that a chaperone is a person who accompanies and looks after another person or group of people. So that is one of my vocabulary words. Now, you shouldn't have 10 vocabulary words that you don't know from a week. There might be only 3, but certainly there should be some words that you need to learn a little bit more about as you're challenging yourself in your reading. So it will not be acceptable for you to write an X or write no words across this section saying that you understood all of the words and you didn't need to look up any words. If that's the case, then you likely need to find a book that's just a little bit more challenging, because remember, when we're looking at Shep's steps to choosing a just right book, you want to choose a book not where there are no words that you can't understand on a page, but where there are maybe between 2 and 3 words that are a little bit challenging for you on the page. And conveniently enough, there are only 3 spaces here for you to find words that you don't know and write them down and find those definitions. So that is how you do the vocabulary section. The last section that we're looking at now is probably the meat and potatoes of our work, and it's just the recording of your reading each time you read. So in this particular case, I only read 2 pages in front of you all. You should be reading much more than that in 30 minutes, but I'm going to be honest, okay? So I read pages 104 to 105, and it's president of the whole 6th grade. That's the title of my book. So I filled both of those items in here in my first box, okay? The minutes that I read are 5 minutes, but that would be unacceptable for you all. You want to make sure that you're reading for that full half hour or more. Anything that you read over a half hour is wonderful. You go ahead and just make sure that you record the amount of minutes that you read here. So again, in the interest of being honest, let's go ahead and write 5 minutes. Already filled in. Okay, and the last thing that you're doing is this response section. Now the response section is going to cause you to have to refer to another part of the worksheet. Okay, just to reiterate what the response section says, it says you will only use 4 of the 5 listed above. 1 through 5 for numbers 1 through 5, use a different response for each day's reflection. So 1 through 5 is up here. Okay, and each of them offers an opportunity for you to in some way respond to your reading, process what you've read, and put it in writing, just a small blurb. So you have the option of doing, number 1, a summary of 3 to 4 complete sentences of what you read for that particular sitting, for that 30 minutes or more. For number 2, you can make connections. So your connections could be from one story that you've read to another. We call that text to text. You could make a connection between the text that you're reading to what's happening in the world. We call that text to world. Or you could make a connection between something that's happening between your story and yourself. So text to self. So for me, I might say that this young lady is really busy, just like I am. So those are ways that I can draw conclusions, or excuse me, connections to what we're reading or what I'm reading at home. The next option, number 3, is to make a prediction or an inference about what is going to happen in your story. So for me, I might make the prediction that this young lady is going to find herself in a lot of trouble because she seems to have overcommitted to becoming president of the whole 6th grade. The fourth option is to ask 3 open-ended questions of your reading. So you might want to know more about a character, or more about what's going to happen, or more about the thinking that's going on behind what the author was trying to do. And those are all things that you can write about in your response section. And the last option, it deals with identifying 2 characters and explaining what are called last O traits, which might be new to us, but it's okay because last O is explained here for us. It's an acronym. It stands for looks, actions, speech, thoughts, and others. So you can use any of these 5 options one time for each of your response sections. Remember that there are 5 options, but you'll only be choosing 4 per week. Okay. So that is pretty much it. Once you're done with your last reading log, your last entry here at the bottom, there's a section down at the bottom for parent signature. Just go ahead and have your parent or guardian sign there, and you'll bring your reading log in, turn it in to me, and you'll get your grade. That's how our weekly reading log is going to start. We'll see what kind of progress we can make in the amount of reading that we're doing at home and how much reading we're enjoying. I'm really looking forward to it. If nothing else, we'll be able to expand our book chains, which are already halfway through one wall. So we really do want to keep up our reading and keep thinking about what we're reading. All right, guys, I hope that helps, and I look forward to reading your reading logs and talking with you about the stories that excite you. Okay, take care.